Dr. Broadway, your license has been revoked again. What do you have to say to your patients?
My questions for dentist Derek Broadway are 12 years in the making.
Dr. Broadway, it's been 12 years investigating what you've done to your patients. What do you have to say to your patients?
Can you get away from me?
What do you have to say to your patients who have had pain?
No one's had any pain.
I'm News 3 investigator Jessica Larche in Henrico. I'm about to explain what led to this moment on May 17th, after the Virginia Board of Dentistry voted to revoke Broadway's dental license for the second time in 10 years, citing his history of negligent and dangerous care, calling him a danger to the health and welfare of his patients and the public. November 2012 marked my first encounter with Dr. Broadway.
I came to ask you about the paychecks that are bouncing to your employees.
Oh, I don't know anything about that.
Days earlier, employees at his Chesapeake dental office reached out to me. They shared copies of their bounced payroll checks.
I saw this as the end result to getting my money that I work for.
After my report aired,
Mr. Broadway, what do you have to say about these charges against you?
Broadway turned himself in to Chesapeake police for those bad checks charges. I'll tell you what a judge would decide in just a moment. But first, those bad checks charges in 2012 prompted me to look deeper into the dentist. I found his troubling and public disciplinary history with the Board of Dentistry dating back to 2009. Records show Broadway drilled too deep into a tooth, resulting in severe pain, leading to Broadway's recommendation for root canal therapy. Broadway failed to inform a patient that he did not finish the root canal therapy he started. Broadway failed to consistently document names of patients on each page of their respective dental records. And he failed to document the type and/or amount of anesthesia in a procedure.
If I had known, I would have never stepped foot in that dentist's office. Never.
Former Broadway patient Rosemary Rogers opened up to me in 2012. Records show Broadway placed an ill-fitting crown on her tooth and altered her records after she requested a copy of her records with treatment notes containing information that, in comparison to the notes maintained in his office, show additions to the entries reportedly added after the actual dates of treatment. Her case, in part, led to the board's suspension of his license for 60 days and a $20,000 fine. In fact, records show the Board of Dentistry routinely reprimanded what they described as Broadway's negligent and dangerous care, deceptive billing practices, and record-keeping violations with monetary penalties, probation, suspensions, and continuing education.
And I can't even imagine how much money and pain and suffering he has caused other people over the years.
The Board of Dentistry is a group of Virginia licensed dentists and dental hygienists. They're appointed by the governor to 4-year terms. They're responsible for licensing and reprimanding dentists. That includes the power to revoke a license. Rogers was frustrated that the board, no matter who was serving at any given time, allowed Broadway to keep his license up to that point.
What's it going to take for the state to take away his license? How many victims do there have to be?
Records show there have been more than 50 patients with confirmed complaints about Broadway since 2002, including Lamar Price.
It's reliving a nightmare, the same nightmare that it was the day I walked into his office.
Price first opened up to me in 2013. Records show Broadway left a root tip behind during a procedure, causing an ongoing infection.
I did not expect to leave out of there losing teeth, healthy teeth, and that's what happened.
It's like ridiculous.
You said it's effing ridiculous?
It is.
Remember those bad checks charges from 2012?
You said you were sorry in court. You don't have anything to say now?
Nice day. Bye.
I was there in March of 2014 when a Chesapeake judge sentenced him to a year behind bars on each of 3 misdemeanor bad checks charges. But the judge suspended the time. The following month, on April 3rd, 2014, the Board of Dentistry voted to suspend Broadway's dental license, calling him a substantial danger to public health and safety. Weeks later, on May 9th, 2014, the board held a hearing about Broadway's license at the Department of Health Professionals headquarters in Henrico.
Every day I would wake up, there was pus in my mouth.
Remember Lamar Price? He testified before the board that day. So did several other Broadway patients and dentists who said they had to correct Broadway's work. Broadway maintained his innocence at every turn, but the board voted to revoke his license.
I was in the room for that hearing a decade ago, so why am I back here in 2024?
What do you have to say to your patients who have had pain?
No one's had any pain.
That's dentist Derek Broadway, moments after the Virginia Board of Dentistry voted to revoke his license in May, citing his history of negligent and dangerous patient care. He most recently practiced in Northern Virginia, but I started investigating him in 2012 when he practiced in Chesapeake and Virginia Beach. After years of my reporting, the Board of Dentistry revoked his license in 2014, calling him a substantial danger to public health and safety. Well, records show a new group of board members allowed him to practice in Virginia again. So now I'm following through, revealing how that happened. During a Board of Dentistry hearing on December 12, 2019, the board, comprised of these members at the time, voted to reinstate Broadway's license, stipulating that he practice in a group, public or private dental practice setting and be subject to unannounced inspections. Two of those board members present that day still serve on the board now, but they were not present at this hearing on May 17th.
And answered up the charges.
Where Broadway defended himself against Virginia Assistant Attorney General Sean Murphy's case against him.
There's nothing this board can do to make the citizens of the Commonwealth safe except to revoke the respondent's license.
This woman, referred to in public records and at the hearing as Patient A, testified at the public hearing.
It felt like he gave me all the pot of Novocaine. He would give me a shot, it still hurt, he did more.
She said Broadway treated her for a hole in her tooth last year at an emergency dental care practice up in Arlington.
The person who was behind the front desk came to assist him.
She said that encounter left her concerned, so she looked him up.
Initially I did a Google search, and there were some news articles that popped up. I was just shocked and appalled by his history of patient treatment.
The patient never returned to office complaining of pain when treatment was done.
The patient still sought out a second opinion from another Arlington dentist, Dr. Kevin Mystery.
Is the type of care that you saw prior to you, is that normal or part of the course?
No, it's more of the standard of care.
Dr. Mystery told the board Broadway nicked a healthy tooth.
He said the tooth was nicked, but I do admit to that. I'm sorry about that.
But Broadway disputed the dentist's observation that he failed to recognize and remove decay before placing a temporary crown on the patient's tooth.
What was your plan for that open margin?
Board members questioned Broadway about his dental work.
I admit to the margin. I'm sorry about that.
Looks of concern and confusion followed many of Broadway's answers. He continued to defend himself against accusations of negligence and deceptive billing practices.
This is false allegation.
He made this plea to the board.
I'm sorry for anything I've done, but it appears that there's some things you've done that I've done or have not done based on ignorance and not incompetence. And I was just hoping the board would take that in consideration.
Moments later,
All those in favor of the motion, please say yes.
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 the board revoked Broadway's license for the second time in 10 years.
Why do you continue to keep practicing dentistry when you have a history of negligence?
No answer from Broadway, but that's a better question for those who've sat on the Board of Dentistry over the years. A question the current board's director of communications tells me current board members won't answer, pointing me instead to the board's public orders. But it's this body's years-long history of how they handled Broadway that prompted this patient to speak up.
I just want to protect, other people in my Commonwealth of Virginia from going through the same thing and having this same experience.
Your patients will watch this. What do you have to say to them?
Have a nice day.
Now, the board's revocation of Broadway's license doesn't mean his days as a dentist are done. According to this order, Broadway can seek reinstatement in 3 years, and 3/4 of the board would need to approve it. I'll follow through and let you know if that happens. As we've reported, state medical boards have had a history of allowing medical professionals with troubling past the ability to continue practicing in Virginia. So how do you protect yourself? Inside this story at WTKR.com, I'm walking you through how you can look up the disciplinary records for medical professionals licensed in Virginia. That way, more of the power is in your hands. Jessica Larche, News 3.